Are you wondering whether you should go full-time? Maybe a client has really enjoyed working with you and they have asked you to join their company. What I'm noticing a lot is that, well, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you know what's going on right now with our employment market, and companies are really desperate for talent, for employees. Are having a lot of turnover. There's the Great Recession going on. So when you are pitching on LinkedIn, what you might notice is that you might get responses that say, well, no, we're not looking for freelance help. We're looking for full-time help. Be prepared to get messages like this on LinkedIn. This is what happened to me actually 7 months ago. I want to come on and share this with you guys because I had to learn this the hard way. About 7 months ago, I was cold pitching a client and they said, you would be absolutely perfect for this content lead role. Basically, they wanted me to come in-house and hire a group of writers for them, oversee content production, build out content strategy, and I actually left freelancing. I gave up all of my freelance clients and I went in-house for a well-known software company, which is kind of crazy because if you've been following me for the past year or so that I've been on here, all I do is talk about being a full-time freelancer. So it was kind of crazy that I went to the dark side and became an in-house full-time writer. I'm never going to warn anyone against going in-house, and actually I wouldn't be opposed to going in-house if it was the right opportunity in the future. However, what I will say is this: when you are cold pitching on LinkedIn, if you go to paidcopywriter.com, you can download my free cold pitch templates and my free LinkedIn guides. You can get on there and actually start communicating with clients on LinkedIn. Well, you might get a response back that says, no, we're not looking for freelance help. We're looking for full-time help. And it's going to be very flattering. And for me, it was very flattering. I think that's why I took the job. They were like, they don't want, in my head, I'm thinking, they don't want me to just be a contractor. They want me as an internal employee. And because I come from a traditional 9-to-5 background, I've only been freelancing, for the past few years of my career. I was a traditionally employed 9-to-5 person before reinventing myself as a freelancer. So when they said, we think you'd be great for this, I was in that 9-to-5 full-time employee mentality of, well, this is the next step. This is me climbing the ladder. But with freelancing, that's not the next step. The next step is growing your business and getting higher paying clients and getting more work from the same clients. But I was still in that mentality of what's next in my freelance career. I've written for X, Y, and Z client. I've written blogs, emails, web pages. What's next in my career? And I thought it was going to be in more of like a leadership role. And I love dealing with freelancers and hiring freelancers and editing work. So it was like seemingly this perfect opportunity. And I'm going to record a podcast episode. Make sure you're subscribed to me on either my podcast or my YouTube. I want to share what it was like working full-time as an in-house writer, because I had never worked full-time as a writer. I want to share what that was like. And I keep trying to record it, but every time I record it, I sound so bitter. And I don't want to come across as bitter and angry because, it was not the best experience, just to be straight up with you. It was not good. And I got rid of all of my freelance clients, guys. That's the craziest part, is I dumped my full-time roster of freelance clients that I've been working with for years to take this role. So number one, don't do what I did, because you just never know what you're getting into. But the only reason I'm sitting here laughing about it and that it's not a big deal is because although I did get rid of all my clients, I was able to get on LinkedIn and secure freelance work almost immediately. So that's really what's so empowering about freelancing, is that maybe you can go and take a full-time in-house role, and if it doesn't work out, no one can take the skill away from you that you know how to cold pitch for business on LinkedIn. Nobody can take away your skill as a writer. And so even though I'm so angry or like bitter in a way about the way it went down at this company, there's something that they could never take away from me. They might have hurt my ego a little bit and my self-esteem, and made me feel micromanaged, which I hate because it's just my personality. But they'll never take away my skill set, because I was able to get clients as soon as I put my 2 weeks notice. Before my 2 weeks was up, I was already working for another freelance client. Where can I find your podcast? If you go to paidcopywriter.com, it says my podcast, and then you can choose your podcast of choice. So if it's iTunes or Spotify or whatever else is out there, I use Spotify personally. A lot of people find me on iTunes, so please check me out there. I would love for you to listen to that. But anyway, be careful when taking an in-house role. I want to share this trend with you because now that I'm out there in the streets again, cold pitching, I'm getting these responses like, yeah, we need writers, but we really need somebody to go full time. We need a content marketer. I think the world is waking up to the fact that content marketers are a really key role in a company, and they need someone to manage content and build out something really strategic and meaningful and purposeful, and they need those staff members. So you might get that offer, but yikes, it was such a bad let me not get sidetracked, because again, every time I talk about this topic, I start talking about all the things that went wrong at this job. But the really big overarching theme is that I should not be in a job. I should not be in a 9-to-5. I'm not wired that way. It's no one's fault. It's not a boss's fault who I might not have been happy with the way I was being managed. I can't be managed. That's why I choose this life of 9-to-5. I mean, even just me being here outside of my library right now, and then I'm going to the gym after this because it's horrible outside, and I'm doing my steps. I'm like obsessed with step tracking now. So I need to go on the treadmill and get the steps in there. And I'm at the library, and I'm like, oh my God, I have my life back again. I can go to the gym on a Friday in the afternoon, and no one cares. No one's looking for me. There's no Slack messages coming in. Like, I'm free again. And if you are thinking of going freelance and you're willing to take these risks of not having an income, not having this stable, steady income, and having to pitch for work and having to ask for referrals, having to raise your rates, having to improve your writing skills and do all this stuff, you must really want to be free, because this is hard, right? Like, everyone's like, oh, just go on your laptop on the beach. No, it's actually a shit ton of work. And if you're willing to do that and you're willing to go through with that, then you must really want freedom. You must really hate being told what to do. It must make your skin crawl that somebody gets to tell you what to do. Somebody gets to tell you when you can go work out, what your morning has to look like, whatever it is. You might not be cut out for that. I wasn't cut out for that, but I was lured in by this gigantic salary. And I thought to myself, wow, I could really not fight so hard for my money, right? For my salary. Because with freelancing, you fight really hard for the money, and then you look at how much you pay in taxes, and you're like, why am I doing this again when they're taking so much of my money? So you start having all these doubts about like, well, and then at the time when I took this full-time role, I was feeling pretty uninspired with my freelancing. I think I was just in a rut. I was doing the same things over and over again. Blog post, webpage, pitching online. And it's like started to become, a little stagnant. And then this opportunity came up, and I was like, maybe this is what I need. So I got lured in, and then they gave me that big salary, and they offered me more than what I was making as a freelancer. And I didn't want to turn that down. And I took a leap of faith in this company, and it was just an absolute mess. Like, the person who hired me quit as soon as I was brought in. Nobody knew what to do with me. I tried stepping up. They slapped me down. Like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I learned so much about my personality. I reached out to my mentor, Sarah Griesenbach. You guys might know her, follow her. And I did a podcast episode with her. And she's amazing. It's my most downloaded podcast episode. She's just such a fucking cool person in this space with writers. And she's like, what's your Enneagram type? And I'm like, I'm just telling you everything, what I'm dealing with right now. And you asked me what my Enneagram type is. And I looked at my Enneagram type because I had taken that personality test a while ago. If you haven't done Enneagram, the Enneagram personality assessment, go take a look and find out what your number is. But I went, and my type is like an 8 with a 7 wing, and it basically said your biggest fear in life is being controlled by other people, and your biggest desire is for you to be sharing your opinions and your expertise, and for that expertise to be valued. And what's crazy is that this job was pressing on my 2 biggest buttons. I felt very controlled, and every time I tried to voice my ideas and put plans into motion, I was slapped down. And, you know, the whole time I was kind of thinking like, well, they're just not taking me seriously because I'm blonde and I have a young looking face, and they just don't think I'm smart or whatever. But now as I get more perspective of the situation, I'm like, you know, this is just something probably that needed to happen in my life, where I needed to have this experience where people were responding badly to me, where my ideas were not valued, where people didn't like my personality. Like, I learned a lot about myself and how I show up, and what environments are good for me and what environments are not good for me. And I can't be in an environment where somebody just tells me to sit down, shut up, do your job, and you better do it this way. So be careful. I know this might sound rambling at this point, but be careful when you take an in-house role, and remember why you chose to go freelance to begin with, because these companies are out here. They are on, you know, they're lurking, and they are offering big salaries, and they are promising the world because they are desperate. And I don't think for many freelancers that it is worth the money to go in-house, despite how much more money you might be making with them versus your own thing. I would much rather put my head down, deal with the uncertainty of freelancing, and continue to build my business on my own, despite every challenge that comes with freelancing, versus ever having to deal with what I dealt with as an in-house writer. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I never want to deal with it again. So I wanted to come on here and share that experience with you. I am going to record a podcast episode where I go into more detail about this role and why I took it and what happened and all the crazy dynamics that I dealt with. But the cool thing is that I got to see a behind the scenes look at what happens in the behind the scenes of a marketing department, what we look for in a writer, all of the people that cold pitched me and tried to work for the company that I'm working for as a freelancer. So it was really cool for me to see the behind the scenes, and I want to share that with you so I could say, hey, this person did this, you might want to watch out for that, make sure your portfolio says this, all of that stuff. So me too, yes, I don't want to be told what to do. Yeah. Thank you for voicing my inner thoughts somehow. That's so awesome, guys. That's why sometimes I'm like afraid to get on here, because I'm like, does anyone really hate being told what to do as much as me? Or am I just like this petulant child that if someone tells me what to do, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. No, but I think some people just have a personality where they don't like being told what to do. And freelancing is so amazing for that purpose. It's like we get to start our own businesses, but there's no overhead and no employees and nothing. You're just determining your own destiny. So just some thoughts for you. If you haven't downloaded my LinkedIn guide, get on there and learn how to cold pitch on LinkedIn, whether it's from me or someone else who's teaching a method of cold outreach. I just suggest LinkedIn because it's less resource intensive than emailing. Emailing requires you to track down people's email addresses. LinkedIn gives you immediate access in a company's org chart, essentially. And I map all that out on that free download of like, get on LinkedIn, fill in your profile, here's what they look at, and go on there and just send them a message and just get into action. And if you're feeling stagnant or stuck or overwhelmed or imposter syndrome, DM me, or just look at the last video I uploaded on how to just take action and get out of your head and do something so you can get the momentum rolling. So have a great weekend, writers, and so good hanging out with you guys.